And welcome to the Knit Girls. I'm Laura, also known as Lala, and this is episode 462. Stop!
I don't get to talk.
No, that's my part. You do the next part.
I know, but it's all out of order. But that's okay, because I'm not obsessive about that kind of thing.
I can't even remember the order that it goes in every week.
Usually so you're like, hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode yada yada.
462. I'm Laura, also known as Lala. There you go. Did I fix it for you?
Yes. I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Friday, November the 15th, 2019. It is my older sister's 43rd birthday.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with 40th, and I was like, I hope you did a big shabam.
No, because then she'd only be a year older than me.
But she's not.
4 years. I'm the middle. I've got a 4 years older and a 4 years younger.
Oh, I didn't realize that before.
Yeah, it's been busy this week, and Laura's got obligations with sports after school.
Yeah, it's basketball season, y'all. So look forward to having no knitting time.
Yeah.
But something else happened this week. I'm trying to think. Election Day was last week, right? It's all blurring together.
Election Day was last week. Something happened on Tuesday and we didn't record. I don't remember what it was.
I must have had something Tuesday.
But
that's in the past and I don't remember the past.
We like to flush our brain every day.
It's like that computer reboot. Sometimes my Firefox is like, hey, you closed these tabs. Did you mean to?
You get like that blue screen brain where it's like I feel like that's what happens when I walk into a room and I can't remember why I walked into that room.
Oh.
I feel like that's
the best.
That's when my brain is just like,
So I don't have a ton of library helpers this year, but my library helpers, which are, now it's like my yearbook kids, are in charge of making sure that I know where like my coffee or soda is first period, because I will set it down and walk off and do something else. It's a fun game we like to play.
It's a good job for middle school kids.
I pay them in donuts, so I mean they definitely get their wages. Today was donut, so I pay them on the last Friday of the month, and today was my last Friday of the month.
Oh, that's right, because Laura's going to be out of town next week,
Friday,
starting Wednesday, and then the following is Thanksgiving, and here in Mississippi they get the whole week, which makes sense because they don't have a fall break, so they scrunch it all up on Thanksgiving week.
I'm one of the 30 people who get to vote on that schedule next year. Like the school schedule.
Because you're Teacher of the Year?
Yeah. Which is funny. And there's like so much thought that goes into the calendar. It's amazing.
I'm sure.
Like, I don't want to be the person who votes on this. But it'll be alright. There'll be like all the other teachers from across the county who will have their say too. I get to do that in January. It's going to be super fun.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I also get to go to a school board meeting. My life is filled with excitement. But I voted today for the next Teacher of the Year.
Oh, that's fun.
Because in December, switches over. So my reign is almost at an end.
You shall have to hand over your scepter.
I know. I kind of want to purchase like a small crown. Oh, middle school. Anyway, and it's Friday, and it's been a long week. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go, because after Works in Progress, I got nothing.
Okay. I have 2 works in progress. The show notes say 3. The Spectrum shawl has not gotten worked on. It has not been touched. I did pull up the pattern again today to make sure I had marked my place. So I did do that, but that's all that's happened with that. But I do have some progress on some socks. So these are String Theory Colorworks in the Geosim colorway. And the first one is done. I think it was done last time we recorded.
Yeah, but you had just started the toe of the other one.
So the first one's been done. And then the second one is almost done,
Getting close to the ribbing.
I right here. I have a bright turquoise stripe to go and some grays and a bright green stripe to go, and then ribbing. I did this ribbing a little bit shorter than I typically do my ribbing because I didn't want to go a full repeat.
And then not have enough for the toe to make it match.
Yeah, So it is a little bit off. Like this one starts with a line of blue, and this one does not, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it's one is one row shorter than the other. It'll be all right. But yeah, so those are almost done. I should definitely be able to get those done this weekend if I get to work on them. And those are being knit on size 1 needles, and they're on the Addy Squared.
Rocket Squared.
Yeah, and I really am enjoying them immensely. So I'm excited about these needles. And it's still living in my Halloween bag because I haven't flipped over to a fall bag yet. I have this much left.
I think I have 4 projects in this one bag. This is a Sweary Unicorns bag that I got at SSK from Amy Beth.
It looks like an Erin sweater size.
It's not her biggest one.
Okay.
So she's got one that's like taller than this. It's just as wide, but it's tall. Well, actually, I think it's a little bit wider. But
that's not the wedge, though. The wedge is
it's not the smallest one. It's the middle. I think it's just called the sweater bag.
Yeah, this is the same size.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I have 4 projects in this bag. Granted, 3 of them are small.
I started a new project, y'all. And it's living in a Harry Potter bag that I hadn't used yet called the Burrows. It's, where Ron's family lives. And it's a chicken boots. And it's kind of like a watercolor fabric. And it's a very Weasley-esque pattern. And I started a stocking. So this is using... I put no notes on the show. I meant to on the show notes about this, but I really don't have much to say yet. This is a stocking by Faye Kennington. It's her Christmas stocking pattern, her original Christmas stocking pattern, which was done from the toe up. So I've done the toe, and then I did that magic loops, and then I switched over to 12-inch circulars, and this is knit on size 6 needles. The pattern calls for 7s, but I went down a size. The red and dark green are Leading Men Fiber Arts in their non-superwash base that they do only as pre-orders on the website. And I'm sorry, I don't have the colors with me. All that stuff's laying right beside my skein wider.
We'll do it for next week.
Yeah, and then the white, I have no idea. It was random white yarn that was in the stash. So, it worked.
Feels nice.
Yeah. It's also non-superwash.
Yeah.
Some kind of wool.
It's not that water spun, right? That your mom got?
Could be.
I don't know. It feels like a woolen spun yarn. It's nice.
It's got a different ply structure than the Lady Men, and it's a little bit thicker, and I chose to make that my dominant color. So Ysolda Teague published a couple weeks ago on Instagram about color work and dominant versus when you do color work, your dominant color. And mine is white. You can see that it's showing up a lot better than the green. Sorry, it's not. It's like
there's not enough really for you to determine.
There's
that,
5
rows.
Yeah, 5 whole rows of color work done. 5 rounds of color work done. So it's not super into it. And this is a bobble pattern. You get to the cool thing about this stocking pattern. It's a little bit pricey. It's like $12. But it's so worth it because it has like 30 some different charts.
You can mix and match.
And you can mix and match them. So I put the one that I linked the one that I based this off of that I want it to look like. You can pull it up if you want to see it.
Not right now.
Okay.
No.
I was making the offer. So I'm going to make it look like that one. So I was just flipping through projects and I wanted something that's kind of traditional.
So the idea with the like color dominance, as I understand it, which it could absolutely be incorrect, but the way I understand it, if you're doing the two-handed ferrule, if you're using both hands to hold a color, then you want your dominant hand to hold the color that's going to be the background versus the main color.
So what it is the underneath, like it's the one that you're stranding below versus the one that you're stranding above. It doesn't really have to do with what hand you have holding which.
Oh, I always assumed it was dominant hand. Because with your dominant hand, your stitches will be tighter.
Let me, I took a screenshot, so I'll show y'all. Because I thought it was really interesting information. I don't want to get it wrong.
All opinions are our own, but what she's going to read is from YSOLDA.com.
But only if I can find it.
A designer, and she has a shop, and she's a lot of things.
She's awesome.
You can check her out there.
So she had posted it on her stories, and she's got a tutorial. So it says lower path equals using more yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more dominant. So more yarn equals a bigger stitch, and that's more dominant. Does that make sense?
I mean, it does, but you have to already be familiar with color work to understand what the
which one's going below which one. Okay, so if the color is held higher, it's going straight across the next stitch. It's going straight across to the next set of stitches of its color. If it's held lower, it's dipping down a little, and that extra yarn transfers into a larger stitch. She's so smart.
See, for me...
But she's also got a tutorial on her website.
I don't do color work often, but I'm a tight knitter, so maybe it's different. But for me, if I put the non-dominant, like the background color in my right hand, because my right hand is my dominant hand, it's going to be a smaller stitch. It's going to be tighter because that it tracks with what Laura pulled up on the Solda's site, because my left yarn goes underneath, and that's what's on my left hand. But I don't know if that's just coincidence or not. With my particular case. Now, if we haven't confused you, then you weren't listening. So, all right. What else do you have?
That's it.
About the stocking?
Yeah, that's really it. Knit size 6. I should have printed out the charts, and I didn't. One thing that I do is I always go I do at least one repeat of the whatever chart I'm working on before I stop. I do that with like even star 2. So if I put this down for a long time, I can always go back and I have at least one full repeat to be like, oh, this is where I was.
Oh, yeah.
So I can read it.
You can read your knitting, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be cute. But I do need to print the chart. Because I was doing it on my MacBook as I was sitting, and
it's just not always practical to have a device on and propped up. And
well, my MacBook, like on my iPad and my phone, I can like highlight rows, but my MacBook, because it's a chart, it's a picture, it won't let you, it's saved as like a JPEG, an image, it wouldn't let me highlight rows or put some, I'm sure I could create a box and put it on there. I didn't play with it enough either. But yeah, so I think I have 4 repeats to do, and then it's an afterthought heel, and then another 4 repeats. It might be 3. And then
it's probably longer on the leg than on the foot.
It's actually an even number, like it's divided directly in half.
Oh.
But then it's got another chart that you switch to, and then another chart that you switch to. So it is longer on the leg.
Yeah.
But the leg chart that I'm using, or the foot chart that I'm using, it's equal. And it makes like round circles. I like it also because the pattern is kind of choose your own adventure, but everything's ranked by number of ornaments of how hard it is. And the hardness is based on how many strands how many stitches you're going across without, like, are you crossing 3? This one's like 3 or 4. Yeah, how many floats you have to carry. There's a really cute bear large chart for the top, but that's like super intense with the how you carry the number of floats that you have to carry. So yeah, lots of cute. And she's got a top down stocking pattern as well that I purchased because it's got even more charts. They're different, and you can mix and match with this one as well. So yeah,
I just got a brilliant idea of what to make Lady Amy for housewarming. It's not a stocking, it's something else, but it has a chart, so cool. Now I have an idea.
Lady Amy does like stranded stuff.
As her business name would have you believe.
Truth.
Is that it? Do you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay. So I have 4 things to talk about.
That's awesome.
First is the sockhead hat, which has gotten maybe 6 or 7 rows since you guys saw it last week. This is being knit on size 3, I think. Yep. 3.25 millimeter needle. I'm using cat sandwich yarn, and it's a non-repeatable colorway. It's called Willy Nilly. I think all her non-repeatables are called Willy Nillys.
Willy Nilly or Willie Nelson?
No, Willy Nilly.
Oh. That makes more sense than Willie Nelson, which is what it was in my brain. He's not repeatable either.
I mean, this is true. He hasn't died, right?
No, he's still alive.
I was going to say. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's in his 80s or his 90s, but...
If Alexa was here, we could ask
we
her.
Could. And then everybody who's watching, their Alexa would tell them as well.
Well, they're probably telling them right now.
So anyway, this is project number 1. Not a lot of knitting on it this week. Project number 2 is I swatched for my almond tee. It's a pattern that I've wanted to knit for ages and ages, that a friend of mine actually gifted me the pattern because she and a group of her friends were going to knit it for Rhinebeck, and I think they did. And this is when I was still in New Jersey, and clearly I never got around to it. And I've sort of always felt guilty about it because I really wanted to knit it. So it's a pattern called Almond Tee 2, and it's by Alpha Knits, who is the same lady who designed the Crazy Stripes.
Oh.
Like cardigan and pullover. I've got like 7 of her patterns in my queue. I really like this designer. She's linked in the show notes. The show notes are always on our website, TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com.
Yep.
So all the stuff that we talk about, it should be linked in our show notes. If it's not linked, it's at least described. So for this particular pattern,
it's a pretty small swatch.
You hear the judgment coming from that? It is.
There's a lot of judgment coming from that. It's not hidden judgment either.
So Steph of Loop is a lovely person and has been a friend of ours for a long time. And
we were talking about her the other day, and she's actually supported the show since like its second year.
Yeah, because that was
for 8 years
when the Loop bumps were like super brand new, and we would stalk the updates.
Yes. Pre-Lux Loop bumps, which are lovely.
Or the 2, like now they have the 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen her make those for a while.
I have a set of them over there somewhere.
I need to spin some of her stuff. Maybe during my holiday break.
She's very kind, and she sent us some yarn to knit with of her new base, Yin Yang, and Laura knit the Boxy.
I did, which Leslie tried on the other day.
Crazy bright pink, which I really love. I did try it on, but proportionally it looked weird on me because Laura knit it for herself, not for me. So
we are not the same size.
We're not. But I wanted to knit the almond tee, and so I'm going to use, assuming that gauge works. I don't know if it will or not. She does these colors that are inverse of each other. So like this one's got 3 of that sort of dark maroon and 1 of the cream. So it's 4-ply. So it's got 3 of the maroon and 1 of the cream, and this one's got 3 of the cream and 1 of the maroon.
4-ply?
I think so.
I thought it was 3. I'm a liar.
No, it looks like 4 to me.
Okay. You keep talking.
So I swatched with it last night just to sort of get an idea.
It is a 4-ply.
Oh my god, I was right about a thing.
You are right. Maybe it's her worsted that's 3 in 1.
Maybe.
I don't know. She also sells a worsted. An Aran and I feel like there's an Aran and a worsted.
There's an artisan, which is an Aran. The artisan mill spun is an Aran, I think. But I don't know if it has those inverse. I think the inverse colors are just in the fingering and the worsted. But
it has inverse because I bought some.
In the Aran?
Mm-hmm. They came today.
Oh, maybe it's just not the yin yang then, because when I went to look on Ravelry to link the yarn, I only saw the 2.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Anyway, this yarn is super luscious to knit with. I emailed Steph to ask her.
No, I'm looking.
Like how this is made. Like, I know it's made in small batches and it's part human labor and part machine labor. But it feels like a woolen spun to me. It's very light. So I emailed her to ask her about that. I haven't heard back yet, but I really, really like it. I haven't blocked it yet, and in order to get gauge for this project, I need to get 23 stitches to 4 inches. And right now I'm getting like 25 stitches, but I haven't blocked it, and I expect she'll bloom a little. I don't know how much it will bloom. So we will see after it gets blocked.
She's got lots of pretty bats in.
So it's swatched. I need to soak it and lay it out and let it dry and see if it grows any. But that's the plan. It does call for a sport weight, and this is a fingering weight. So I'm knitting this, I swatched this on a size 7 needle. It's not see-through. It's perfectly fine. And it'll be striped to some degree. The almond tea, I didn't bring it. I printed the pattern and then didn't bring it up. It's a really interesting construction. It's seamless and all in one piece, but it's like you're going in different directions. I'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, the worsted weight is called yin yang as well.
That's just what I said. A worsted and a fingering. You were saying it was an Aran weight.
No, I think she's got an Aran weight too. She's got W. See how it's got the W for worsted?
I know. That's what I said. The A for an artisan.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you, I said fingering and worsted were both in the yin yang collection.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't.
I thought we were. That's in all likelihood. That's exactly. Laura heard what she wanted to hear.
Ooh, that quiet colorway is pretty. See, now I'm shopping.
So the other thing that I'm making, I changed my
that's pretty.
recommendation setup. So now any patterns that come out that are listed as free show up in my daily recommendations. And what I'm talking about was daily recommendations on Ravelry. If you go to the patterns tab on the right hand side, sort of about the middle of the page, it'll say your pattern highlights. And so that's Ravelry's algorithms looking at the things that you've queued, the projects that you've made.
People and your friends.
Yeah, your designers that you've listed as favorites, and then giving you a list of new patterns that you might be interested in.
Yeah. How did you change that to free?
You can, if you click on your, my pattern highlights, you can edit it at the top.
That's good to know.
So I went and did that, and that means I get a lot of stuff that I'm not necessarily interested in, but I can just quickly scroll past it. That's no problem. But one of the things that came up earlier this week or last week was a pattern for 2 needle booties or socks. I think it was listed, and it's not an English pattern. I believe it's Russian, but it's all done like the lady does it on YouTube. Like she shows you how to do this, but it's a baby booty that can grow with the baby a little bit because it's just garter and then ribbing on the top, so the baby's foot goes in like this, and then
so it's like a tube sock. Yeah,
but with a little bit of extra stretchiness because of the ribbing.
And done on 2 needles. So do you have to Kitchener?
You do have to seam it up the back, but you don't have to Kitchener. It's not a Kitchener.
Oh, you have to seam it.
You don't have to be precise about it. So this
I'm
is
not a fan of seaming.
The second one. It's about halfway through. And I'm just using some Malabrigo superwash that I had.
You could do a provisional.
You could. You could, but I'm not making it. The baby is not going to care that there's a seam up the back.
Yeah.
So these are like quick little things that can go in our
hearts and hands.
Yes. So I wanted to make a couple more things to go into that. They seem like they could be booties, or maybe they could be like little mittens if the baby's hands are cold or whatever. I mean, you could do either one, I think. I don't think it really matters. But yeah, so that's one of the things I've been working on. But most of what I've had time for this week has gone into Poet. And I actually spent like 2 hours talking to Ashley today, a friend of mine who is also knitting the Poet, and we're about the same place. We both have silently not acknowledged that it's a competition, but it's totally a competition. So.
Are you sure you're in the same place? Are you sure Ashley's not lying to you?
Well, I talked to her today because I split for the sleeves, finally. And.
Ooh, it's so pretty.
I'm getting. Sorry, it's all tangled. That's Buffy. I can hear
because
her.
When I'm in competitions, I lie to the people I'm racing. Just that's how my mind works.
This is true. I learned this years ago. So this is where I am now. I split for the sleeves, and separated them off. And so the way that the chart is set up, each chart, based on size, is slightly larger than the last. So like I'm knitting the largest size, which is a 3X, because of the amount of positive ease and all that's built in. And so it's got the most rows out of all the charts, which makes it super tiny and hard to read, so I had to blow it up. But the chart... So you know how in other languages knitting designers don't quote-unquote spoon feed, like how to do things? So there might be complicated instructions for how to do sleeve number 1, and then they say do the same for the other sleeve. I
feel like it's not a language barrier. I think it's a magazine versus independent designer.
Maybe. But there are some instances where designs are really well, like, I don't want to say really well, very clearly laid out for do this step, then do this step,
they're
then do this
row
step.
by row directions.
Right.
Versus...
And in this one, so I finished the chart, and so the last row in the chart's like 78, I think. And so that means after row 78, you're ready to split for the sleeves. Mm-hmm. And then, in my head, you go back to row 1, and you start over on the chart.
I think it would depend on where you left off on the chart.
I finished the chart.
No, but if the chart's a specific number of repeats, sometimes it'll cut off like halfway through.
Okay, well, it doesn't say. It just says to continue with the pattern as established, which is fine, except you've been constantly increasing out, and at the same time as you're putting stitches on hold, you're also having to cast on underarm stitches. And so it would be helpful if it said, okay, so you're going to continue on row 7 of the chart.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Well, this doesn't say that. And
were there helpful notes in Ravelry?
No, because I don't think it's been out long enough, and I think it's only in this size that there's that issue, because there is errata that's put out, but it's not for my size, and it has nothing to do with the issue that I'm having. So the issue that I was having was at the end of the chart. So the way that this design is lined up on the chart, you've got these sort of diamonds that come to a point, right? And once they come to a point, they either open up or they become the side, like they curve into the side of another diamond, right? Well, it wasn't lining up with the beginning of the chart. Like there are certain, the stitches start to sort of go into this top of a diamond shape, and there were like 6 rows missing in between where the chart ended and where it started again at the beginning. So I spent a while talking to Ashley, and we both sort of figured out what we thought it should be, and she actually like cut out part of the chart and played like jigsaw to try to figure it out. But we both ended up agreeing on where we thought it should be. And she emailed the designer, and the designer may come back and say, oh yes, that's right, let me issue whatever. It hasn't happened yet, but we only emailed her today. But I think I know where I'm at now. So,
I would put in a lifeline, my friend.
Maybe. I mean, right now I've only done a single row. So, and a single row past the sleeve separation, and I continued on with what I thought it should be, which is what Ashley and I ended up agreeing on.
I hope you're making your notes on Ravelry.
So I think it should be fine. Well, it's going to depend on what the designer says. But still, I really like this. It's so nice to work with this yarn. This yarn is biche et bouche. The French word is B-U-C-H-E-S, but the U has a caret on top. I don't know what the caret's called. And also there is no English equivalent to how that noise is made, because I looked it up on YouTube. I spent time to try to figure this out. But best I can understand is biche et bouche. Not bouche. Boo. It's like a weird... You have to move your lips a certain way, and I can't do it. So, I'm sorry. And it is... I forget the colorway name. Oh, but I have the rest of it right here, because I wound it. So this is all the rest of the yarn.
In your IKEA plastic bag.
Yeah. And I'm finally getting close to needing another
skein. Look.
So.
And you're alternating skeins as well.
I am alternating skeins because I have learned that lesson. The chicken always wins. Yeah. So
cool.
I'm happy with it. I really like knitting it. It's not always the most brainless thing to knit, but I'm very much looking forward to the finished object. And again, that's Poet by Sari Nordland. And all the notes are on our show notes on TheKnitGirllls.com. Alright, I've been talking for a year. I have no spinning, and I have no finished objects.
I have no finished objects as well. I do have some spinning, which has been where the majority of my time has been going. Because to spin 4 ounces is taking me around 20 hours. Just
because she's spinning super thin because she's doing a mashup.
So I'm doing a mashup spin. So I have 6 different bags of fiber, 2 of which were the same. So this was the first bobbin that y'all saw last week. Oh, wow. And here's the second bobbin.
Not really that thin. It's super thin. Like, I would say that's a cobweb single.
I don't know about that. I think I'm going to get a worsted out of the 3-ply. So there's those 2. And I have the third one on the wheel now. So this is all the same color. And these were all Hello Yarns. So this is Rustling Scales. And then this is Burrows and another one. Dragon something maybe? Dragon Business. And that's split. So it's 2 ounces of each that go end to ends. And then I'm on the last 4 ounces for this half of the total large spin. So this will be 12 ounces that I'll apply together. I'll probably have to break it because I'm going to use the mini spinner because someone's using something else.
There's another bobbin. There are 2 other bobbins.
Yeah. So, but I like the mini because it's got a woolly winder on it, so I'll probably use that anyway.
That's your choice. Don't blame me for that.
So I'm working on the third bobbin now. I'm not super far into it. I'm hoping to get it done by Saturday, but that means I'm going to spin all day tonight. Like, I'll spin tonight when I get home for a couple hours, and then I'll have to really spin because I only have like 2 hours put into it so far. Mm-hmm. So I'm really going to have to... I feel like that's not achievable, but...
To be done by tomorrow, I think that's
like
probably...
tomorrow night.
That's pushing it. Maybe about the weekend.
Yeah, well, I have to have it plied by Sunday night for House Cup. But I can turn it... This is for my mission. I can turn it in 25% and get 25 points. Which is probably what's going to happen.
No, what's going to happen is she's going to wreck her body staying up and working on this forever and ever. At least once you get to the plying, you're not wrecking your body as much.
No. We'll see. So that is the spinning that I have going on.
So, remind me.
Okay.
This is for something you're trying to finish for Harry Potter that's due. The first half of this is done Sunday. So, what about
800 yards is due on Sunday.
But what about, you have the Spectrum that's also due, right?
Yeah, but that's not due till the end of the month.
Okay. Because I was going to ask why you weren't working more on that, but that makes sense if it's not due.
So the socks are for a class, the stockings for a class, Spectrum's for an owl, the spinning's for a mission, but if I don't get the mission, like, it's not like an owl where you have to repeat, it's not like under a subject area and you have to repeat it.
If you have no friggin' clue what we're talking about, Laura is part of the Ravelry Harry Potter and Knit and Crochet House Cup, which is just it's a group on Ravelry where they've organized ways that you can
craft for points.
Yes,
imaginary
points that mean nothing. Think, whose line is it anyway? With more knitting.
That's true. That's a good symbolism. So anyway, or simile. So that is my spinning that's going on. I really would like to finish it though, like all 24 ounces, because our friend Kelly was wearing a portage that she had hand spun.
Oh, I love that.
And I think if the yardage works out with this, that's what I'm going to knit for it.
I'm so coveting that. So when we went to Fiber in the Burrow, our friend Kelly Dew,
We Do School.
Yes, We Do DEW School on Ravelry. She knit a portage, which I'd only ever seen in solids, because that's how it's shown in the pattern. But she did some striping.
She did a breed study, hand-spun breed study of like 100 different breeds.
That could be something we could do with the Joanna Spring Advent too, if it doesn't work out.
It's 12 bats. It's 12 ounces.
Well, I'm just saying we could use that for the back or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, she just sort of did whatever she wanted and striped it in this really cool way, and she changed the collar a little bit. I think
she did,
just like how wide it was, but it looked gorgeous. I'll try to remember to put a link in the show notes, because both Laura and I were salivating over it.
It's really pretty, and she did X's per breed. Like, she does this stripe that's got like X's on it that she hand embroidered, and every X is like a different breed that she used.
Yeah.
So super cool. I'm using Rambouillet for my spin, so it's gonna poof a lot, which means I'll lose yardage as well. I'm hoping to get at least 1,600 yards out of it. We'll see. Out of the 24 ounces. I definitely think it's doable.
Oh crap, I need to count how many rows I have. Because this is not just knit ribbing forever. This is knit ribbing for a certain number of...
With reading. So what I've been reading is...
we have a book review.
Oh, we have a book review.
5,
I forgot.
6, 7,
it's been a while
8,
since
9,
we've done
10.
book reviews.
Right, yeah, so I've got a few more rows.
Okay.
Yes, it has been a while since we've done a book review, but we had a lovely Hunter Hammerson email us and ask us if we would like to take a look at her new book.
Which is Shoreline.
Which we obviously say yes without even asking what it's about.
Always with Hunter. What you can't see is it's got silver on the cover. It's super fancy and super shiny, and it makes me super happy. So this is Shoreline. It's socks suitable for scrambling over rocks, splashing through tide pools, staring at the sea, or whatever else tickles your fancy. It's by Hunter Hammerson. It retails for $21.90 in the United States.
And for that price, you can get either the electronic version or the paper version with an electronic copy as well.
Yeah.
Both prices are the same.
Okay. So it's really, really pretty. Hunter recently moved to Maine, and so this is inspired by that change in setting. What I love is on the inside cover, she always uses her space in her books very, very smartly. And on the inside cover, it's got sock size suggestions. So like for a women's 4 through 6.5, it tells you the circumference and the foot length. But it also has a place where you can write down measurements for specific people, which I love, because I'd love to keep record for specific people. So there are 7 different patterns in here. A lot of them do use DK or sport weight,
and she gives you several different gauges and circumferences to use.
So for this one, this is ebbed, so I'm going to show it in a second, and you can do fingering weight or sport or DK weight, and she tells you how to swatch for them as well. She also tells you what size is shown in the picture.
You have to probably get that closer for a better... There you go. So it's a beautiful use of twisted stitches, increases and decreases.
There's a lot of twisted stitches in here. This book also has some really, really pretty illustrations throughout it. It does use charts.
Yes.
So that is something important to pick out. This is Flowed, which also uses fingering, sport, and DK weight. Those are the illustrations that I'm talking about. Really, really pretty illustrations.
Yeah, so this uses twisted and slip stitches, because Laura and I were had a little bet going that I lost about whether they were twisted or not. But to make them pop out like that, they sort of had to be.
Super pretty. And that yarn is gorgeous that she used. That is Caper Sock by String Theory. Seven Sisters is in here as well, who does really pretty stuff. This is knotted.
Yeah, so it's got a cute little cable accent right above the instep, and then one up at the top of the cuff. So it's less demanding every row with the twisting stitches and more of a gentle flow.
Yep, and this also uses a fingering, a sport, or a DK. And I love that, because I feel like there's definitely elapse in patterns for sport and DK.
Yeah.
The pictures, the charts are sized where they can take up a whole page if they need to, so you can see them. I have a trick for seeing stuff I'll tell you about in a second. This is netted.
Get that a little closer. There you go. Yeah, so it does. It looks like a net with the open and closing of the circles.
Yep.
I just like looking through Hunter's books. They're so beautiful.
They're so pretty. The next one is Poised.
Oh, I didn't notice that heel detail.
Yeah. I really like the heel detail on the side.
That's really pretty. I didn't notice that.
Like the gusset.
Yeah.
That uses a Sport DK, Chickadee. Which is 100%. Well, she also tells you how many plies are in the constriction, which is super helpful. That is not, if you do order Chickadee, it's not a super wash, so you would have to hand wash your socks. And then Polished, which is inspired by Sea Glass, and this is using a DK, but she has it written for fingering, Sport, and DK.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's a very Leslie sock.
Mm-hmm. Even starting right at the toe, you've got that sort of swoosh of the twisted stitches. I love it. Yeah, and I do love that she makes her charts as big as they need to be.
Yep.
Like, sometimes they don't need to be big. Sometimes they only need to be 8 rows by 8 rows.
And we're showing the glamour shot, but every pattern has at least 3 different pictures from different angles of the socks. And this is the last one, which is affixed.
It's got dip stitches, which I've done in another pattern of hers.
Yep.
Hunter has published many books, and she does many patterns on Ravelry as well, single patterns. A lot of times they're cute little things, like Laura's done the little star that she's done.
Yeah.
She just put out a Christmas tree pattern.
Yeah.
She did a peach, which was also amazing.
One of the things that Hunter always does when we talk about space is she's always using the space of a book wisely. So the back has your code, but it also, if you're in a pinch and you can't find what needle size you're using, it's got a place where you can lay the needles on top, and it will kind of tell you. It's got a measuring tool on the side. And then it also has Kitchener Stitch written out. And there's some of Hunter's other books. I've knit some of her curls patterns before and really enjoyed them. I think I own all her books.
I think that between the two of us, we do, whether paper or digital.
Yeah. I think we bought curls 3 digitally. But yeah, I love her stuff. It's a nice, the cover on this has texture to it. So it's a nice tactile feel when you're reading through the book as well. I would definitely, this is one where I would get the hardcover and then the digital one.
Yeah, for the price you might as well, too.
So my little helpful hint is my angel babies at school have been turning the laptop or the iPads red.
You have been in Mississippi for too long if you are calling them angel babies.
They're sweet. But this opened up, so what they're doing is you can go into your settings if you have an iPhone, and there is a thing that says accessibility.
She just wants an excuse to hit me in the face.
Yep. And one thing that you can do is you can change like the color of your screen if you need different colors or different filters.
If you have vision issues.
Yeah. And it also allows you to like put subtitles and captioning on stuff. But one cool thing that it allows you to do is a magnifier. So there's actually a magnifier on here, and what you do is when you turn it on, if you hit your phone button 3 times, your home button, it magnifies you. So you can use it on text to make it larger from above. You do have to have your phone sat in an angle where you could read through the phone, but it does magnify options. It does allow you to magnify, and you can zoom in really high
to see that.
or zoom out. It also allows you to add a color filter there. So I just thought that was a cool thing. I know sometimes my eyes get tired and I need some way to enlarge print. You can also enlarge the font size that's used on your phone. So if you struggle to to see what the small like fonts are on the icons or apps, you can enlarge those. So it was just a cool feature. So unintentionally, them pranking some of my teachers has led me to discover some cool features on the iPhone that I didn't know were there. So I wanted to share that with y'all because I think it could be useful in some different situations.
Yeah, I usually just, if I need a closer view of something, I'll usually just take a picture and then magnify. Just,
You could do that as well.
All right, sorry, I need to move the screen thingy down so we know what we're talking about.
So we do have a copy of Shoreline Land to give away. Shoreland is available on November 19th for pre-order.
Yeah, which is next week.
Next Tuesday.
I think it actually gets, the paper books actually ship out on the 25th, which is the following week. But all the details are linked on our website, where the Shoreline book is listed. You can do pre-orders if you're interested. I do not know whether she'll sell the patterns individually on Ravelry. I'm not sure. Sometimes designers do, but only after a certain amount of time. It just depends. So
I can't remember what Hunter does. Usually I think she has them available for individual purchase. But she puts out a lot of patterns, and I've tested patterns for her before, so I know that she tests and then also gets them
tech
edited. So obviously I have some bias. I love Hunter.
Oh yeah, that should be
really
very clear.
Sweet person, and this was sent to us for review. I also want that to be very clear. We do have a copy to give away, and we'll give that away on Ravelry. We'll start a thread, and all you have to do is put your favorite Hunter Hammerson pattern. Just list which one of her patterns you like the best.
There are tons to choose from.
And there are lots and lots to choose from. So that will be happening.
And maybe if you've made one of her patterns, you can put a picture in or something.
That'd be cute.
But the same rules as usual will apply. And we haven't done a giveaway in a while, so the rules are you have to be a member of the group to win. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We don't mind shipping it to you.
Yeah. 1 entry per person.
1 entry per person and no chatter in that thread. So you get 1 post and that's it.
Yeah, we can make that a no chatter.
Yeah, but that's just a suggestion. That doesn't actually stop people from...
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, the books were sent to us for review, but we both adore Hunter, so we would happily have her as a teacher if she enjoyed talking in front of people, which she does not, and that's totally fine. So, what about,
speaking of teachers, we never announced our teachers for SSK.
We did. Well, we announced 3 of them, and then we never announced our 4th one after we got the contract. And that's silly, because it's very exciting.
Yes.
So, the 3 that we talked briefly about already. So, for SSK... Okay, I feel like every time I say something, I have to back up further. So SSK is our summer knitting retreat.
Yep.
It is done by a lottery system because we're lucky that we have more people that want to come than we have available spots.
And the lottery is currently open, and you can find that on supersummerknittogether.com, and I think it's also linked,
it's also
in our
linked in our show notes.
And they're open until November 19th.
Which is Tuesday.
Everything's Tuesday.
Everything. It's so important. But we did make a separate video talking about all the details of SSK, including cost, what you get, all that sort of stuff. So,
and it's also written out on the website as well.
So we have 4 teachers again this year. We're having Jillian Moreno back for spinning because we love her. She's great. She's funny. People love taking her classes.
She'll teach you how to pee off the side of a canoe.
That's true. Although that's usually later in the evening in a less structured environment. Sorry, my brain is somewhere else. We're also going to have Sadie Anderson, who
taught for us.
She's taught for us before. She taught
year 3 or 4.
4, I think. She taught fiber prep and some other fiber related classes, and this year she's going to do that as well, but she's also going to teach some sock and sock design classes, which are going to be exciting because she's amazing and hilarious and a wonderful person, and I just went back into ribbing. I don't know why. I'm in garter stitch. Can you talk while I fix this?
Sure. So Sadie is teaching socks, sock designing, and fiber prep. For our spinners, we'll have drum carders and stuff for you guys to borrow. She's just a lovely human being. And she made a lovely human being. So my mom keeps trying to steal that human being. She's like, tell Sadie to bring the baby and I'll babysit. So Sadie is coming. Romy Hill is also returning. Mm-hmm. She taught for us a couple of years ago and she's coming back. Romy is known for her lace designs, but also lots of other stuff. She does, and she's very generous. She gives away patterns for free every year around Easter. Yeah. She does an Easter egg hunt, which is super fun. I've participated in the last couple of years. She's super cool as well. And then
I want to make sure that I get our last person's name correct. There we go. So she goes by, our last person, she goes by Frenchie or Aroha Knits, but she's also, her actual name is Francois Denoy. She's currently in Japan, but she'll be in France come SSK time.
Yep.
But she's going to teach several different things.
Shawl structures.
As well as overall fitting and some color work items. So, we're super
color theory, I think, versus color work.
Is it? Okay. Laura remembers that. When it comes to class stuff, like, I ingest it and then dump it right away because Laura handles everything related to classes.
But what we do, the class signups, we'll have the classes listed in late April, and then you get to choose which ones you would like to take. We do first, second, third, and fourth choice. One class is included in the cost of the retreat, but you can take others if there's availability.
For an added cost.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're super excited about all of our teachers that are coming this year. We have, actually 3 of them are returning. So everyone except Francois we've had before. And
we're super stoked to have her because she is awesome. She does some really cool designs. She just published a sweater that's amazing.
I've got one of her patterns in my queue, one of her shawl patterns in my queue that it's an unusual structure and it actually sits correctly on your shoulders and you don't have to constantly fuss with it. So I'm super excited about making that too. It gives me an excuse to knit it before SSK because she'll be coming.
Yep.
Wow, I just snorted. I just did a Jess. Of course, now Jess is out there going, anyway. So those are our SSK teachers, and we're very excited to have them.
Yeah.
If you are interested in attending SSK, you need to put your entry in by the 19th of November.
Yep.
And then we'll be doing lottery drawings during Thanksgiving week because Laura goes immediately out of town. As soon as signups close, she goes out of town.
Yep.
And so we won't be able to... She actually has to work.
As opposed to what I do every day.
Well, no, like in the evenings and stuff. Like usually we can chat and
get
I have
things
done. And
things
it's just
till
not,
like 7 p.m. every night.
It's just not feasible. So plus you'll be an hour ahead at that point.
I will be. So. Drama.
Anyway, what about what you've been reading? You started to talk about that.
Yeah. So I finished Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Royale. Super cute graphic novel about 2 people who have worked at a pumpkin patch for 4 years and they're best friends.
Yeah, she pushes him to go talk to the girl
for the first time who worked in the fudge shop. Yeah. And there are shenanigans that occur and they make their way across this huge pumpkin patch and it's very fall and very cute. Definitely fun. And then I started today actually. I started this book. I brought it with me because I'm going to finish it this weekend. This is Strange Birds.
She's also going to finish spinning this weekend and applying.
Everything. A Field Guide to Ruffling Feathers. I'm pretty far in it. I am 207 pages and I started it today. So it's a very quick read. I actually started doing, one of the things that I teach my kids is using Post-it notes to keep track of characters or keep track of your thoughts as you read. So I wanted to use this book as a model. And this was one of the books that was donated to my library by a generous viewer. So thank you. I really like this person's other book, which is The First Rule of Punk. It's a book that I book talk, so I was excited to get this. It is about 4 girls. Lane, who's an artist. Aster, who's a foodie. who's homeschooled, and she lives with her grandfather. Her mom is deployed overseas, and her father was killed in action. Lane's parents are going through a very nasty divorce in London, and she's sent to her grandmother in Florida. Takes place in Florida. Ophelia, who's a storyteller, she wants to be a journalist, but her parents have problems. She's an only child. She's a late in life child, and they have problems allowing her to do stuff on her own. Like, she's 13 or 14, and her parents, they won't let her stay home by herself over the summer. She's got to go with her mom to work every day, and her mom actually works for Lane as a personal assistant. And then Kat, who's a bird watcher who comes from a big family. She's got 3 older sisters. She's the youngest, and every single person in her family has done this, it's almost like a Girl Scouts type thing, but there's a pageant element to it. So they sell brownies, but there's a pageant, and her mom was one of the first winners. And so her mom's really pushing Kat because the other 3 girls weren't winners, but Kat has been skipping the meetings. She actually donated all her brownie money. She's obsessed with bird watching, and so she donated all the money that she earned by selling to a local Audubon type society. And so the 4 of them have bonded together to form their own little girl group. Very strong girl power. There's no boyfriends, there's no boy crushes. It's about girls getting stuff done. Sometimes they're not making the best choices, but they're getting stuff done.
It's nice to have stories with strong female characters that aren't in some way related to their relationship to men.
Yeah,
it's less frequent than it should be.
They're ruffling feathers. They're creating stickers to try to enact change in their town and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. I'm enjoying it immensely. So that is Strange Birds, A Field Guide to Ruffling Feathers by Celia C. Perez. I really like her other book as well. I'm hoping she's going to do a signing at NCTE. So I'm really hoping to run into her as well. So yeah, and there's a rooster there's lots of bird characters as well, which makes me laugh.
Cool.
A peacock, a peahen actually, and a rooster who are always in shenanigans. And it's a very funny book as well. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. What are you up to with reading?
I am reading the last of the Dragonkin books. I didn't think it was this soon. It's the 9th book called Bring the Heat. It is the Branny and Aiden book. It's the last one. It was published in 2017.
Well, then she started the new series that takes place in the same world.
What's that series?
The one with the blacksmith.
But there's only one.
Yeah, it was just published in March. She publishes in March every year.
Oh, okay. Well, I already read the blacksmith one.
Well, she publishes the Honey Badger books in March. I think she publishes the dragon ones in August.
Well, I'm almost finished with this book, and so it'll be the last one in the series. And then after that, I'm going to start Starless Sea, which is the new Erin Morgenstern book. Erin Morgenstern is the one that wrote Night Circus. And I'm excited to read Starless Sea, because I friggin' love Night Circus, and I think it would make an excellent movie or series.
I think they've already pulled it for adaptation.
The rights have been signed, but there's been no activity, because I went and looked. There's been no activity on actually making it into anything yet. But the Starless Sea is about a man, I think he's in his 20s, who ends up in this weird library, and it talks about the stories of the books themselves, and it seems very interesting. So
it's not connected to the Night Circus at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. And she's been asked whether she'd ever write a sequel to Night Circus, and her answer was that she's not going to rule it out, but she has no desire to do it either. If the idea comes to her and she can link it in some way, then maybe, but it's not on her list of things to do. So I'm excited. If you've read the Starless Sea, you should comment on our Ravelry thread for this episode 462 and tell me what you thought. Sorry if you can hear my dogs. We are still collecting for the Hearts and Hands Baby Layette bag donation.
Yep.
And we will send all that stuff off probably
early December.
And then we'll continue collecting after that and just do another shipment later.
Yeah, as needed.
What else do we have to talk about? Several people have asked Laura about how they can donate to her school library. We live in Mississippi, and Mississippi severely underfunds everything to do with education. But if you are inclined, there is a link to Laura's Amazon wish list for her school. It's not her personal wish list of buy her all the fruit gems.
My personal wish list has a lot more food on it. And I got ginger chews coming to me. Those like Chimes ginger chews.
I don't like ginger chews.
Oh, I love ginger chews.
Or like the ginger drops or whatever that are supposed to help with nausea. I like ginger, okay, but it's too much for me. I think that's it. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. We're behind on UK Drag Race.
We are. I went and made sure today that it was going to start filming, and it would start filming tonight with episode 6, but I don't think it did number 5.
Oh.
But I think we can watch it on VH1, right? Like .com. We'll have to figure that out. That's not your problem, and you don't care about it. So yeah, we're going to record again on Tuesday because Laura goes out of town on Wednesday. But we hope you guys have a lovely weekend and that you have less stress and to-dos in your weekend than Laura does. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.